A plot may be defined as the arrangement of the incidents of a story. Some arrangements are obviously better than others. A mystery is spoiled if its solution is revealed prematurely. A certain amount of development is required for a plot to be appealing. This development is causal. Should there be missing links in the chain of causation, the plot will suffer. Unexplained or irreconcilable elements in a mystery will leave a reader puzzled and dissatisfied. Beautiful stories may differ widely in subject matter, but they all share one thing in common. They impress the reader with a sense of totality, a sense of having come full circle, a feeling of completion and contentment, in a word, a sense of beauty. To satisfy the requirements of causation, a plot should consist of both a beginning and an end in that sequence. It should be as seamless as possible, no frustrating gaps. To accomplish this, the middle or body of the story must be of sufficient size. The proportion of its content determines if a story succeeds or fails to evoke a sense of totality in the reader. Too much content can provide as many loose ends as does missing content. Precisely how is a beautiful story proportioned? I found that the proportion of a beautiful story can be depicted using a specific sequence of pictorial symbols, generally recognized as the tarot trumps. This sequence of symbols constitutes my definition of the perfect plot. It is the very definition of beauty. Critics argue that beauty cannot be quantified. They recall the old saying, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder." They point out how one person regards a particular painting as beautiful, while another person may regard that same painting as the opposite. People mistakenly assume that beauty is an intellectual theory, or an opinion that we arrive at independently. They fail to acknowledge that beauty is neither in the object nor in our unique relation to the object, but that beauty is a state of being. My definition of beauty is a definition of the experience of beauty. I propose that the nature of the experience itself is universal, independent of any object or observation. The more an object or story reflects beauty in the quantity and relation of its parts, the more likely it is to evoke a sense of beauty in the observer. Beauty itself, however, must remain the exclusive province of consciousness itself. Beauty is consciousness itself. The tarot trumps symbolize archetypal ideas, the building blocks of consciousness. When the trumps are understood individually and in the proper sequence, they illustrate the very blueprint of consciousness itself. They constitute a perfectly proportioned totality. The tarot trumps serve as illustrations to an archetypal story. The archetypal story is the perennial adventure of a hero who defeats an adversary. It is the fable of the knight who slays the dragon and rescues the princess. Each trump illustrates and epitomizes a particular episode or chapter in the story. The 22 trumps constitute a universal analog. An analog is a system of measurement in which one set of values corresponds proportionally to another set of values. Using the trumps in this manner, a proportional correlation can be established between the hero's adventure and conscious development. The archetypal story is an allegory of conscious development. What follows is an outline of the archetypal story as illustrated by the 22 tarot trumps. I provide a brief description of the physical appearance of each of the Marseille's tarot trumps and explain their symbolism. To help illustrate the archetypal story, I will also refer to characters and events from two widely recognized and well-loved works of fiction, the Star Wars saga of George Lucas and J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings.